Hello.
So we're
So
all going to
Mark's in
be
the
learning
meeting, so
together
I
on
guess
this, and do not hesitate to reach out with questions.
so we're here in your meeting, Mark.
Mark, I gave them my phone number. I've given.
All right. So while Mark finishes up a meeting, I'll talk about what's on Drudge. And the main headline is Americans. Wait, no, this is yesterday's. Come on, reload. Anyway, Americans leaving America in record numbers. So, most of, I think, the people watching this are Americans. We know life in America is pretty great, but has been, I don't know, kind of annoying lately. And the rest of the parts of the rest of the world can be pretty great too. And annoyed Americans or Americans looking for a cheaper cost of living are leaving the country by the millions, according to this headline that I can no longer load. There it is. Americans leaving USA in record numbers. It's our 250th anniversary, according to the article, and also reality. And you have older Americans looking for cheaper senior living in Mexico. Albania offers Americans the opportunity to live there tax-free for a year. Ireland is attracting. Lisbon, Portugal. Mark, one of the founders of the network, has moved to Spain. The cost of living is cheaper and life is nice there. My wife and I have explored options for living at least part-time overseas, but we haven't made much progress. We'd have to clean out our house, which would be, I don't know, a big job. All right, let's see what else is on Drudge here. So Cuba killed half of a boatload of heavily armed, we don't know who, guys in a boat from Florida that were maybe planning to do some kind of invasion. Maybe 10 guys. They killed 4 of them. I guess they took 6 of them prisoner. Let's see what else. Tomorrow, Hillary Clinton testifies in a closed-door hearing before the House. This is James Comer's deal. He's this hokey, hacky congressman from, I don't know. He always tries to uncover malfeasance on the Democratic side. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden. He never made any progress with that, but never tries to uncover malfeasance on the Republican side. So his target for the past few months have been Bill and Hillary Clinton, who've been fighting with the House about the terms under which they'll testify. They want to come testify in an open door hearing before the public. And Comer and his committee want them to testify in a closed door hearing so they can pick and choose what the public sees. And I guess Comer has won because Hillary's going to show up and testify tomorrow in a closed door hearing about what she knows about Epstein. And she says she's never met Epstein. So we'll see what comes out of that. Comer's kind of a dope, so I assume that Hillary will get some shots in. But since he controls what comes out of the hearing, what sound bites or what quotes, I assume he'll get some shots in too. Okay. So I don't know much about this story, but there are Epstein files that they're documents and videos, sex slave manuals, photographs of naked women that Epstein was hiding across the U.S. The Telegraph, which is a British paper, revealed that Epstein paid private detectives to remove items from his Florida property in an attempt to hide them from investigators ahead of a police raid in 2005. These were kept in Palm Beach for several years in a storage unit, and was one of 6 storage lockers leased by Epstein over a 16-year period. So I guess more stuff will come out. most of it creepy. Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, has fired at least 10 FBI agents whose job it was in 2020. So Trump was prosecuted for investigated by Jack Smith for possible election interference and for hoarding classified documents. And Mar-a-Lago was raided a few years ago by the FBI, and they took away hundreds of documents and dozens of boxes, including a lot of documents that Trump wasn't supposed to have. So Kash Patel has fired at least 10 of the agents who participated in the search of Mar-a-Lago, which kind of sucks, because I assume if you work for the FBI, you don't get to say, unless you're a supervisor, where you go. You're told, well, you're going here to do, your bosses tell you where to go. So it stinks that these agents are getting fired for just doing their job. All right, I'm just going down the columns here in Drudge. So Drudge is pretty much the only news aggregator I use. Drudge used to be hyper conservative. But over the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 years, it's become pretty even-handed. And I don't know, I find it's the least annoying news story aggregation site that I've found. All right. In the Democratic primary for the Senate seat in Texas, Jasmine Crockett, according to this latest poll, leads James Tallarico by double digits. So they're running against whoever wins the Republican primary between John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. Cornyn is pretty much a run-of-the-mill Republican, for now, Republican senator. Paxton is the attorney general and is a very corrupt piece of crap. His wife is divorcing him because of Paxton's blatant affair that went on for many years, where Paxton was using state resources to pay off people to cover up the affair. And the Democrats would prefer to run against Paxton because Paxton is scummier and they think he'd be easier to beat. People who are looking at the Democrats are afraid of the outcome of this race because, Tallarico is a pastor, right? I think. And
that sounds about right. Coming on the other room, but I think he's a pastor. A lot of people are wondering about Jasmine. I did have a question for you because I heard some stuff online, and they're asking. Apparently, she was being fawned on by President Trump. But who is this woman in the red dress? Because apparently everybody's trying to figure out who the woman in the red dress is and everything like that. But they said that he was taking pictures with her, and I guess people was very much a fan of Trump, so there was a lot of articles that I saw.
I haven't heard this story. So, Trump acts out sexual desire. Even the guy is going to be 80 in 3.5 months.
He's going to be 80, but yeah, type out women in the red dress. SCOTUS State of the Union address.
I really don't think that he's a horny guy anymore. But he remembers his earlier years as a horny guy, and so he's still likes hanging out with pretty women.
And apparently this was a lady that was.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, I just saw a couple of things about that in the news. We've got Sasha join us as well, so I'll bring him to the stage
Well, let
and
me
everything
finish
like
up
that. But yeah,
Crockett
Sasha.
versus Tallarico. So the fear among political analysts is that that Crockett might be less able to win over independents than Tallarico, because Tallarico is this mild-mannered pastor, state senator, kind of inoffensive. Might they think he might appeal to more voters than Crockett, who's kind of fiery, feisty. But we'll see. And it looks like Crockett's might win the primary because she leads Tallarico 56% to 44%, according to this poll. On the other hand, they only polled 369 voters, which gives them a margin of error of 5%.
And it's a nice margin of error and all along those lines. I did hear that there was a woman that Ilhan Omar is upset about because she was her guest, and apparently she suffered some injuries because she was just standing in protest, and the Capitol police escorted her out and apparently injured her, or maybe even furthered some other injuries that she had from when she was in Minneapolis doing some protests as well. So that's something else that I saw on the news and everything like that. And I think you mentioned the whole testimony that the Clintons are doing and everything like that. But I did have a question for Sasha since he's joined us. Are we getting, and you can answer this as well, Rick, are we heading to another Cuban Missile Crisis? Because I did see that a speedboat carrying 4 was shot down by the Cubans, and I think they killed 4 and all along those lines. But that took place in the last 24 hours.
No, because we're not in a missile crisis, because this does not involve nuclear weapons. It involves, I guess, exiles from Cuba, a lot of whom are kind of extremist lunatics. They got in a boat with a bunch of weapons, and Cuban forces killed 4 exiles and wounded 6 others who sailed into its waters on board a Florida-registered speedboat and opened fire on a Cuban patrol. So these guys were nuts, right? They're not going to take down Cuba, but they felt like they needed to, strike a blow, and got themselves killed.
Got themselves killed, and then there was also the Iranian negotiations that are going on as well. So we'll see how that plays out. But I know that there's negotiation between Iran and the U.S., and I think that was something that Trump was touting in his State of the Union address and everything like that. So, Sasha, what's your take on these developments in Cuba and in Iran?
I'm very surprised by the fact that Iran is still negotiating with U.S. because U.S. have absolutely no force to do any harm to Iran. Okay, they can send some bombers, they can destroy a few buildings here and there, but that's about all what they can do, nothing else. And Israel now is very cautious about the U.S. attacking Iran, because Iran will retaliate, and primarily it will be Israel he will retaliate against. So U.S. got themselves into a corner from which there is no easy escape. They cannot bomb Iran, they cannot attack Iran, they cannot withdraw their force from Iran. So Trump is begging Iran, give him something, give me something, so I can say that we sent our force and here is what we've got, so now we're sending back our force. No, Iran is not giving him anything. So what? He will come back empty-handed, bringing back his forces. Well, it was my mistake. No, that's not going to happen. So he has overextension of force committed in Caribbean, Nicaragua, Cuba. What else he wants? Canada? No, he doesn't want Canada anymore, I guess. The Greenland? Maybe he doesn't need Greenland anymore. So what else?
Now, we would never do this under Trump, but instead of invading Cuba, we should just buy Cuba. Cuba's GDP is only $110 billion. If we dangled money in front of Cuba and said, let us develop some tourist zones, give us a couple square miles of Cuba, and we will turn it into a tourist paradise. We'll pay you $20 billion for the
Rick,
right.
Rick, what kind of money are you talking about? The US is the biggest beggar in the world, owing $38 trillion. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, like, we've tried to overthrow Cuba's government for 70 years. So why not?
US has to go back to its borders, spend $50 million on a military budget, defending against Canada and Mexico, and that's all they have to do. Get back to US, stay there, and trying to survive. That's all what US has to do.
Okay, but I'm just saying that I think I think you cause more change in Cuba by throwing money at them, whether it's private or government money. And we just gave $40 billion to Trump gave $40 billion to Argentina because he likes the leader of Argentina. So I mean,
So this is today's U.S. government. They're giving money of billions of dollars. It's all built on personal Trump's relationship with certain people. He likes this Argentinian guy. Okay, here is $40 billion. He likes Orban. Okay, Orban, here, I'll give you and help you with the election or so on in April. Okay, he likes Putin, so he put his picture in Oval Office. This is what type of government. It's a pedophile government in the United States. That's all what it is.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Sharif, what you got going on in Bangladesh? And we'll get to some other world issues as well, but what do you have going on in your neck of the woods?
Bangladesh, just after the elections, our government is setting their different ministries, taking a lot of strategy changes because previous government changed, government come. Recently, we find that the Bangladesh bank governor change, different ministry reform, different positive things happening. Now, this is the indicator that after long term of unstable conditions in Bangladesh, specifically with the politics, with this political government, we can find the new economic, social, and political influence in this process. And definitely, USA has a very good impact in Bangladesh politics, Bangladesh economy, and we are observing that US and Bangladesh has some sort of $22.5 billion business trade deal and so on. So hopefully, through this process, at least Bangladesh people can go to the move forward, and we can bring more progress through our economic gain. Yeah, that is the information from my side. Hello, Kimberly. How are you today?
Good morning. How are you doing, Sharif?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you.
So what you got on your mind, Kimberly? I know we still got a lot of reports on the Epstein case, and we got the Clintons reporting today, or they're giving their testimony and everything like that. But we were talking about apparently there was a woman in a red dress that made a lot of noise at the State of the Union, and they're saying that they laid an immigration trap for the Democrats, is what some of the Republicans are saying, and all along those lines. So I guess they're hoping that this is going to be a good issue for them in the midterms, even though it does seem like President Trump's numbers are way down and he is definitely suffering and everything like that. So what's your take?
Well, my take would be that if the red takes over again, then there's voter fraud. I would thought I'd never say that. But I think that people are getting tired of the lies, the delays of justice. I mean, what's wrong with the justice system when they have taken over 20 years to serve justice to known pedophiles just because they are billionaires? I mean, that is not the justice system we're supposed to have. So I think that ICE, it was established wrong, and the whistleblowers have established that. Now Republicans are starting to backpedal and they're not apologizing. Watch their videos. but they're starting to backpedal a little bit and go, okay, yeah, we know, we should have corrected. Listen to them. We should have corrected, but now we're being forced by Democrats to correct it and fix it. Listen to the wording. They've all already been coached as to what to say. They know that their supporters, MAGA, will support them with all the excuses that they use. Like, well, we were trying to do immigration. We thought this was the right way. But, slacking off in the training of law enforcement is no excuse at all. So those are my thoughts on what's going on. But Mark, I've heard two rumors that have concerned me, and I would like to know if anyone else knows any more information about this. But that TSA has announced that, or somebody has rumored that TSA is struggling with communications between the towers and the lack thereof, and that there will probably be no more communication between the towers. And I don't know if that's towers between cities, towers between airports, or towers between themselves, communications within. The other rumor has it, maybe we should start one, not start a rumor, but start a show about these, is that ICE, who's not trained to really legally have a weapon to use as law enforcement, has been stockpiling with our tax dollars, stockpiling major weapons at a mass amount. And I don't know if anyone else has heard these rumors, but that's concerning in the big picture. And I also just want to add something that I just came to realization of after having a conversation about Epstein files is, Epstein was building his society with an island, and he had added another island. A lot of people aren't aware of that. But if you read my little guide on Epstein, it's more of a timeline, and it helps you keep things organized. He had purchased a second island along with a bunch more airplanes and helicopters and mansions. But Trump is taking it to a new level. And I say this purely because you have MAGAs who complain and whine about a poor man buying food that he likes with food stamps, but they support billionaires who rape little children 100%, that pay to rape children here in America. So I have determined that America has become the new Epstein Island, the bigger portion for Trump, and that it has become the sanctuary for criminals and billionaires to continue buying and selling children for their sex society and trade.
So they keep uncovering more Epstein documents and videos. And, if you're Mark's age, my age, you grew up at a time when, like, your dad had a couple dirty magazines in his nightstand, right? And you'd find them when you're about 11, and you'd be like, whoa, this is great. Everything Epstein had was creepy and porny. Now they're finding that he had 6 storage units scattered across the U.S. filled with, they have photos of inside Epstein's mansion. All of the decor is creepy. It's like wall to wall, like the guy, everything he did was in service of his creepy sex addiction.
Well, a lot of people aren't even aware, because I've read a lot of files, and probably more than what the FBI has, though they claim, Cash has claimed he hasn't read any of them. But in there, he actually hired an artist to carve him a chessboard and chess pieces of him as the king and someone else as the queen, and then they used all the others from his models. So, as he called them, they were called models or masseuse. The girls would say, "We're going to go do a massage," and that was code for "We're going to go have sex with a millionaire." So, yeah, go ahead.
So if you take women's studies, they will teach you, or at least they taught me in the 80s, that rape isn't a sex crime. It's a crime about power, humiliation, and domination, which is true. But all for Epstein, he loved manipulating people. He loved running this creepy, abusive empire, but he also liked having sex. He also liked having orgasms. Trump is more purely a power rapist. If you read the stories, because 28 adult women have accused Trump of rape and or sexual harassment or assault. And for Trump, it's never, I don't think Trump is very sexually capable of he raped his first wife, but beyond that, I don't think he's much capable of rape. Instead, it's like grabbing women, kissing them, looking up their dresses. It's purely about power and abuse and humiliation.
With some women, they were able to maybe take control of the situation and get out of it. So raping them was not easy for Trump. Trump is more about power and rage. So the children became his outlet, right? And so raping the children, they couldn't fight him off. One girl did bite, and she got beaten pretty bad for it. So several of the girls got pregnant, probably more than what's reported. One girl tried to swim her way off the island. I think more than one girl did. All came with consequences that were not pleasant. But
would it have been possible? How far away was the island from any other place?
Sometimes you swim away.
That speaks to desperation.
Maybe you want death over being eaten by a shark, or you just don't know. You just have to get away. The islands look close, right? There are more than one island out there. And Epstein bought the second one because he realized there was not enough privacy for the one he owned, and he wanted that deterrent. That's just one more island a girl would have if she managed to swim that far. That's just one more island.
Are people in England, for instance, seeing more about the Epstein stuff than we are? Because, like, I just saw a story from, I think, the Telegraph about it, which is a London newspaper, and it seems like the London papers are maybe covering it more than the U.S. papers are, with pictures of inside Epstein's, multi-million-dollar townhome, showing how creepy it was. I don't know why U.S. papers.
The U.S., I think they've overcome some of the sealed records, which was a problem I even had. There were a lot of sealed records I could not get open. I found the unredacted versions because I found court cases that had not been redacted other than for the victims, safety and security. So the victims were redacted. Eventually, they did come in this past summer and they redacted those files. I had saved those links and I would refer to them, but fortunately, I downloaded a lot of them because it was just a lot easier for me to reference to and read while I was just making my own notes in my own notebook. But yeah, I think they have one of the senators here, Lou. He has access to more than what anyone else has. But what I commend him on is that he has read the files, or as much of it as anyone, and the justice system hasn't. And they're having hearings about it, and they are now demanding Kash Patel to do his job and start subpoenaing the records, because he asked, have you subpoenaed the estate records? Well, no, I've got other things to do. I'm trying to make America safe. I'm making America safe. And he goes, these records, we've been working on this for how many years? You are to go in and subpoena those records and subpoena them now. He also asked, have you read any of it? And Patel's response is, no, I have not. But he says he's too busy making America safe, but we've all witnessed that's not what he's busy doing. He's
So-
too busy.
Right. So
flying.
one thing you hear from conservatives is if there's so much bad stuff about Trump in the Epstein files, why didn't Biden go after this stuff when he was president? And
So it was under a different kind of investigation then, and they were not allowed to release the information until the investigations are finished. This is an argument I've made with people many times over. Even I asked that question, right? If it's such a heinous crime, why is the information being withheld? Well, I have also the new person that they put in charge over the Epstein investigation over his death said the same thing. There are just some things that by law we're not allowed to release. So by pursuing it at that level when the investigations weren't 100% completed would have been a violation, and they probably wouldn't have been able to prosecute. But, of course they're going to use that. But why does that matter? If the information now coming forward that is allowed to be released to come forward is implicating anyone for pedophile activities, why are they not being arrested? If you were accused on the street, just accused, they would arrest you, and then you would have a trial. If Tovey was accused, they would arrest him and try to have it, and have a trial. If Mark was, I'm just saying. But what's sickening is in all of these years with all of this evidence and all of these true accusations, and they're true because the amount of people who testified to them in the identical way, is nothing has really been done, and only one person is serving time, and that person is a woman. And now you have Trump and his MAGA group going around going, it's a hoax, it's a hoax. Well, if it's a hoax, release her and compensate her for being arrested and prosecuted for a hoax.
let me talk about a trivial point in all this, which is, just because you have billions of dollars doesn't mean you have good taste. Like Trump has terrible taste. He likes gold curlicues. Epstein liked the same shit, gold curlicues, but he also liked creepy art. Like if you're a billionaire and you're smart and you don't want to look like an a-hole, you hire an art expert to curate, decorate your houses so you don't look like some car dealer who struck it rich.
He did. Epstein did. He did hire art.
But it couldn't overcome his inherent creepiness because the walls of his joint are filled with awful junk that speaks to his being a perv.
Right. I think in the entrance of some of his places, it was very well maintained, but in his private spaces where he brought his alliances and his allies, his clients, whatever, the victims, was more creepy, was more to his taste. But, you have to remember, he held a deed with Les Wexner of the largest mansion in Manhattan. And that's where he opened up his first hub. Well, that entrance of that hub brought in a lot of people. I also want to make note about Howard Lutnick, who claims he never really knew Epstein, even though they were next door neighbors. You lie. Go look at the deed of when you bought that house. Epstein was the trustee on that deed, making sure the transaction went well. So all of these people who lie and say they really didn't know Epstein, majority of them did. The ones that I find interesting are like the people who are being accused right now, like the Clintons, when not one time were any of the Clintons accused by any of the victims. There are no police reports about them in any of the Epstein files, no accusations by any of the children. When they were testifying and asked about Clinton, it seemed like they were trying to push the girls to testify he did something, and they all said, no, he did not. His interest was with Ghislaine. So, you have to take a deeper look at what they're trying to do. Why isn't Trump on trial right now? He's in there more than anyone, and he is an accused. He is an official accused.
So I want to move away from
Lutnick is accused.
I want to swing away from this to sports for a second. We included, so there's a saying coined by Rick Wilson, who's a Republican strategist who became a never Trumper. He coined the saying, everything Trump touches dies. If you get involved with Trump, it's eventually going to like mess you up. And that has now extended to the gold medal winning U.S. hockey teams, the men's and the women's. Like Trump has got into as is the captain of the women's team has been replying to Trump. Trump's invited the men's team to the White House, and most of them went. And then he said, "Well, I guess I'm going to have to invite the women too, otherwise I'll get impeached." And then the captain,
I wish.
the captain of the women's team had to reply to that, and they said no thank you, that it was kind of like a backhanded, like reluctant invitation. So they said F off. But and Jatovy can talk to this, the men dominated. They went undefeated, but so did the women, and the women did even better. 7 matches. They outscored their opponents 33-2. They were even more dominant than the men. But Trump can't give them.
And have been for years. They have been for years.
Okay.
This is where males dominate the sport, right, Jatovy?
So in the Olympics, the women overall won more medals than the men did. In terms of, and I'm not just talking hockey, I'm talking about the Olympics in general. The women over the past few years have done that. The women in sports have always been seen as an afterthought. This was an opportunity for the actual women to take the forefront, because they've been people are starting to support women's sports a little bit more, which is great. And there is a move towards that. But what Trump did, and this whole men are always being held back, and white men are the ones that are really, that's what Trump rode in on. And so it's just like how we were making a push to kind of have those bigoted ideas on the outskirts. Trump rode in 2016 on the bigoted ideas and gave it a megaphone. So it came back to the forefront. So we have bigotry that's out there, misogyny and all. So all that is back now. But yes, he gave Haley the Medal of Freedom for what? Playing hockey and giving up goals. That doesn't make any sense. Haley, before he played the game of his life. I give him that. Gave up 1 goal. Woohoo! Well, the women, they gave up 2 out of all the games.
Out of 7 games, they gave up a total of 2.
So Haley gave up 1 in 1 game, and now he gets the Medal of Freedom. And then on top of that, if you look at the game prior, in his NHL career, the past 2 games, he gave up 8 goals. In 52 shots, he gave up 8 goals in his last 2 games in the NHL before.
Yeah, he was just trying to ride the coattail and everything like that.
So
just really
the
quickly,
idea that the men are this dominant, it's just we are still living in a patriarchy, and we still say that we still treat women's sports and everything about women's sports as an afterthought, which sucks, because women's sports should deserve the same amount of respect as the men's sports get, because these women are doing the same thing.
Sasha's got his hand up. So.
Go ahead,
Sasha. Mention something that a women's team got the gold by beating Canada with 1 goal advantage on Friday. There was no word from Trump to congratulate women's team with a gold medal, nothing at all. So only when men's team did the same thing essentially. Then all of a sudden, he became a big fan of Olympic Games and invited the men's team and so on. So this is very hypocritical of his real interest in sport. Especially women's sport. He probably doesn't care at all about that. And I felt sorry for a men's team when they appeared on the State of the Union. They were like subjects of Trump's propaganda, of Trump's influence, of Trump's way to impress people. So they were clearly used. I don't understand how this people didn't understand what is the purpose for you to come to State of the Union. Who are you in the State of the Union? You are
Right.
puppets to be used by Trump. That's all you are, and I have no respect for American men's hockey.
Yeah,
team.
but
Yes.
I mean, I looked it up. I thought they were kids. Their average age is 28, but that doesn't mean they're not politically naive. I want to mention one more thing.
They knew
Trump
they
is-
were props, and they
Oh,
didn't care.
All right, but they come to the White House. Trump is still serving them fast food. He served them McDonald's. He didn't even serve them.
Cold
No,
McDonald's.
but he didn't even serve them Popeyes. I mean,
The thing-
I would go to the White House if they served Popeyes, but they don't even serve that.
Popeyes,
Again,
Bojangles, one of those would be
Sasha
better
said
than
is-
Or
McDonald's
In and Out.
or Cookout.
And what Sasha
In and
said
out.
still holds true and holds a lot of water, because what they did upset a lot of people and take away a lot of respect. It's taken away it's taken away the shine on a lot of people. There are people in different fan groups that have pointed out players there is a player who did do I think it was in 2023 came out with a fundraising goal. They were doing a charity for abused women.
Yeah.
And guess where he celebrated? With a man who was accused of raping women.
And the
So
whole
you
Epstein
can't-
things.
you
Yeah,
can't make
you're very
this up.
right.
So they're
Jacoby.
not- they knew what they were doing.
No, they
did
didn't know
not
what they were
care.
doing,
They were
but
celebrating and having fun. They brought in Kash Patel. They were joking and laughing with the president on the phone. They didn't realize they were being videotaped and it was sent out at the same time.
They're
But
stupid.
now, there was one of the players went out today and said, "Well, we should have handled it. We really should have handled it differently and tried to give this apology." But you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, and
Once
you
get
know,
caught, it's a bad thing.
they're catching hell from their wives. I'm telling you right now. Those who are married are catching a lot of heck from their wives. And if they have daughters, they're catching heck from their daughters. But like you said, a lot of them are only 28. But there are a lot of hockey moms that are saying a lot of things right now. And
The
they're
Hughes-
hockey moms of little boys.
Check this out.
They're
Check this out.
disappointed. They're
The
disappointed.
Hughes brothers or Jack Hughes, their mom was won a gold medal with the women's team and was a coach for the women's team, and he's treating the women's team the way he did on that joke.
I think that they might also be getting crap from their managers and agents because
They're getting
It
crap
used
from
to be-
everybody.
What about other teams?
It used to be in late night where I worked that you tried to remain politically neutral so you didn't alienate half of your audience. The saying was that you never knew whether Jay Leno was Republican or Democrat. Because why would he want to? But now things are so polarized. But I would think that if you're an athlete who has the chance of making millions of bucks with endorsements, you do not want to hitch your wagon to an alienating,
speaking of fixing your wagon and everything along those lines, did y'all see the post that Fetterman put out because he was criticizing his fellow Democrats for not standing both for the hockey match as well as for Erica Kirk and for the military person that had done the part of the raid into Venezuela and everything like that. But I'm going like, why would you stand for Erica Kirk? I mean, I get it that she's a widow and everything like that, and they definitely have sympathy for widows, knowing that you're one as well, Kim, and everything like that. But why would you be standing up for the Turning Point person? Because that's really what she does, is she's representing Turning Point and everything like that. So, but he was
again. What happened to Charlie Kirk is a tragedy. I must always preface it this way. But
It's
you can
definitely
tell
tragic.
Erica Kirk was up there trying to fake cry, and she
Right.
couldn't.
Yeah, no,
I hate to put it that way, but that was true. We all saw it.
this is her platform. This is her
The
platform.
Republicans try to trap the Democrats by putting up people that you should feel sympathy for, but having it be so politically loaded that the Democrats won't stand. The last time they did a speech, they had like a cancer victim, and then they said, you know, the Democrats hate cancer victims. This time they had the mom of the Ukrainian Ukrainian woman who had her throat slashed in your neck of the woods, North Carolina. And they had the mom there, and the Democrats didn't stand because it was pure political theater. And so
He
the
lied
Republicans
about her too. He
Okay.
flat out lied. And so
What
why are they going to stand when they lied?
What'd they say? That they tried to blame it on an immigrant?
Exactly. And it wasn't an undocumented. It was so the whole thing was political theater. That's all it was. Hey, we're going to bring up this random person you've never heard of, and hey, you better stand up and clap. Oh, you didn't stand up and clap, so you hate America. No, it was political bull crap.
So Fetterman is kind of a loose cannon, where he's elected as a Democrat, but he buys a lot of the Republican points.
Fetterman is the black guy that you point to that helps you feel okay being racist. That is all it is. Fetterman is Candace Owens. Fetterman is Jason Whitlock. Fetterman is now Stephen A. Smith. So you point to these random people that, oh, look, the Democrat agrees with me. That means you're a bad Democrat. No, Fetterman, who cares what Fetterman says?
Well, a lot of people, unfortunately, do.
But in Fetterman's defense, I don't think he's an opportunist. I just think he's kind of a loose cannon. Kind of, you know, he's struggled with mental issues. He had a stroke. He's all over the place, and he buys a lot of conservative arguments, or I can't really call today's Republicans conservative, but he buys some of the bullshit. But I don't think he does it for political advantage. I just think I mean, you know, you can't even get him to put on a suit most of the time. You know, he shows up in a hoodie and shorts. So he's just kind of, I mean, it's a little, you know, he's kind of a goofball. He's not like, who's the Arizona lady who was an a-hole, who was like elected. Anyway, he's not that. He's not somebody elected Democrat, but goes for political advantage by turning Republican.
Well, there's a lot to be said. And, you know, when he does that, it's not about, you know, your clothes. It really isn't. But I was always taught the way you represent yourself to the people that you're working with or speaking to is how much you respect them. So when you show up to meet me with a sweatsuit and sweatpants, and it's not because your car broke down and you had to change a tire, I'm going to wonder, do you respect me enough to work with me? So, you know, everybody says, oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. And I learned this with the billionaires when I got to interview some of the millionaires and billionaires of the world with Nick when we had Money Masters. And one of the things I learned was the true difference between them, and it was their appearance. The billionaires worried. They would even polish their shoes before they came on set when their shoes were never even in the picture. They would check their cufflinks, check everything. Everything was checked, tie, tight. They would never come on with a loose tie or a tie missing, ever. And I saw this with Adam Dell when he was on our show, and he thought it was a radio show for whatever reason. His agent made him believe it was a radio show, and he came with a pullover sweater and a loose neck shirt, and he let the agent have it. He goes, I'm not going on TV looking like this. So I hate to say it, but it is the appearance, and the appearance is
Right.
about the thought of how
Yeah.
much you respect others.
So, but
He needs to respect
Fetterman
others.
is chaotic good. He does a lot of charity and stuff. He's also chaotic bad. In 2013, he pulled a shotgun on a black jogger who was guilty of nothing and chased him down. And so
Yeah.
Fetterman
Yeah,
is.
sentiments all over the place and everything. Jacoby, before we wind down, you have a video that you wanted to show? I just saw it down in the pocket and everything along those lines. So what were you trying to share?
I mean, we were just talking about the State of the Union. That's what this is. It's just a comedy on that.
All right, let's
Oh,
share it.
one more thing. Well, you mentioned, I don't know if you timeshare. So Mexico killed a cartel leader, and then the cartel set fire to Puerto Vallarta. What came out as part of that whole story is the cartels have moved into timeshares.
Yeah,
It used
they've always been in the timeshares. Yep. And actually, Trump is partnered with the timeshares. I always felt like that was part of the sex trafficking mechanism, was utilizing the hotels and the timeshares. So Trump Towers partnered with Hilton before his last term started. So yeah. But the cartels, that's something, if you want to talk to Irene, maybe we can have her come on and share a little bit about that. But they have been part of the timeshare industry for a long time.
But I mean, at our 30 years ago, my wife and I used to go to timeshare presentations because just for sitting there, you used to get a brunch or a night in a hotel, and you tell them no, they get pissed at you, but then you say, just give me my coupon for the buffet, and eventually they did. I think it's worse now. 30 years ago, the cartels were not trying to sell you timeshares. Now they are. And I'm sure the pressure is higher, and they hit you from numerous angles. They sell you a crappy timeshare, or you inherit one, and then you get hit up saying, we can get somebody to buy your timeshare for 20 grand. We just need you to pay these fees. And then they rope in old people who don't know what they're doing, to the tune of eventually, over a couple of years, to $300,000-$400,000 in fees. They never see any money back.
Right. And it's getting worse. But I will say this, that if I were to look at the bigger picture of things, Trump kidnapped, the president of Venezuela, and then he kidnaps or he releases the worst cartel criminal of all from our prisons that was there for a very long time. But a lot of people don't know that behind the scenes, he's released about 40 more very large criminals in that world. And I have to ask myself, why do you do that? Well, they didn't arrest any cartels with ICE. No cartels have been arrested or deported. I believe that majority of the ICE has been recruited in the cartel industry, and he's going to use these kingpin individuals to run the cartels in America. That's what I believe has happened. That's just
also,
me.
some of these members of the cartel would pledge money to Republican Party or Trump or both. I think there are good chances that he would release them as well.
Right. I think that, that there was a lot of money being filtered in, but I do believe not one cartel has been arrested with ICE, not one. And I think that they've all been recruited under ICE, and that they're building their own army to take over whatever they want. But these particular cartel kingpins are being brought in to take over the cartel. So they took out the kingpin of the cartel there in Puerto Vallarta, and I believe that they're going to move one of these figures into that position. So I think that all of this is well planned to take over the cartels and run the crime world. as well as the pedophile trafficking industry. So.
Last time when I was in Scandinavia, I noticed one very interesting thing. For minor things like you want to buy ice cream or a glass of water or lemonade or something, just almost anything, there is no cash. You cannot use your cash. Let's say you have $100 bill or kronas in Denmark, or it doesn't matter. There is no use. Nobody accepts money. Nobody accepts cash. So they're operating in cashless society where drugs cannot be purchased or sold or anything. There is no use for drugs because nobody has cash to pay for them, and nobody can sell them, nobody can buy them. So it's eliminated over there. So if US would take the same approach, no cash required. Keep your cash. We don't need it. I think
It could happen.
Eliminate the drugs.
Let's wrap up with a little fun and watch the video that Jatovi's got us so that we can leave with a smile on our face. We will end at the end of the stream. Everyone stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to watch the other shows. Sasha has some very good investing shows, as well as the update on Russia and Ukraine. So just stay open for other shows where it's free on Pod TV. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Can I get a selfie?
Sure, here you go.
I wanted to be in it.
Welcome to the golden age of America.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Really? Oh, we're going to do that after every sentence all night. Really weird adult behavior.
USA, USA.
And what was that? We got 11 USA chants coming up. You all sound like a frat house. I will sit behind him the whole time like this. Why doesn't your face move? A healthy dose of Botox and semen.
And I will see it with my drink covered the whole time.
That's weird. Why?
Because if I don't, after these Republican events, I wake up in a seedy hotel room with a sore asshole.
The economy is booming.
That somehow nobody notices. Black people aren't apes. Kick him out for saying black people aren't apes. That's a woke ideology that's not welcome here. Wow, removed within 2 minutes. That's a record.
USA hockey, everybody.
Hey, didn't the women win gold too?
There's a women's event.
Yeah.
Give the goalie the Medal of Freedom.
Oh, sweet. For stopping hockey pucks going into a little goal?
The economy is over 50,000.
Why are you eating the microphone?
We were making so much money from tariffs.
Oh, boy.
And you fucked it up.
Just sit still. Don't cry.
Erica Kirk is here. And she's really sad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I miss you, Charlie.
100 million prison illegals came in under Biden and murdered absolutely everybody.
That's not true.
And we've stopped it.
You're the one murdering Americans.
Because of Somalis, we can't clean up the snow.
What?
You guys aren't standing. You're truly sick.
Again, what?
That guy was shot. Give him a medal.
Thank you, sir.
And that guy's over 100. Give him a medal.
Thank you, sir.
And our military is stronger than ever.
Oh, I'm going to get a mention.
The world fears us again.
Here it comes.
And Iran are not allowed nukes.
He's not going to do it. This speech is so long, the designated survivor is going to die of old age.
My wife exists.
I truly wish I didn't.
Look how small Marco Rubio is.
Thank you, sir.
And I will not mention any files of any kind.
Oh, so an hour and 48 minutes of meaningless bloviating.
Bloviating? You think Laura Loomer is under the podium?
Sorry.
There you go.
Thank you.
That was good. I appreciate that one. That was good. Yeah, that was funny.